I recently watched the Five Nights at Freddy's movie and it was a really good experience. It's a good horror movie overall, but I couldn't help but think that it could have been better if they had made some different choices. I really like Mike's character. He has a strong story that makes sense and good reasons for what he does. Mike is struggling to make ends meet after his parents passed away and is responsible for taking care of his sister Abby. There are also custody issues with Abby because their aunt thinks that Mike isn't the right person to look after her. She might even go to the court and try get custody of Abby, especially since Mike lost his job recently. The movie goes deep into why Mike lost his job. When he was a child, his mother told him to look after his brother. He got distracted and someone took his brother away. Now Mike believes that he can relive that memory in his dream to find out who took his brother. He has a book that has a theory about how everything in your brain gets registered, but it's in places where you can't normally access. If you visit your memories, you might find important details. So Mike tries to sleep as much as he can and takes medication to help him sleep. This takes a toll on his mental health, which is why he made a mistake at his job as a security guard. He mistook a father for an abductor and he beat him up. So ultimately, he is able to resolve his past issues throughout the event of the movie. So overall, it was a good story arc for the character. After watching the movie, I also checked out the video games they are based upon. And they capture the same atmosphere as the game and even match the game's colors in many scenes. It is as spooky as the games. The best thing about this movie is that it actually feels like a movie, not just an episodic structured movie for the sake of sequels. If we take a look at After series, it tends to get very boring as it has no plot and its conflict in those movies are close to none. The movies seem to be made into movies for the sake of adapting books. Most of the After movies are about main character Hardin and Tessa breaking up and then patching up again. Throughout the movies, the only thing changes is the reason for their breakup. In the first movie, Hardin bets that he could sleep with Tessa, and that's why when Tessa realizes the truth, they break up. Then in the second movie, Tessa thinks that Hardin cheated on her. That's why they break up. In the next movie, I think he wrote a book and that was their personal stuff. Tessa didn't like that, so they break up. This doesn't make up for the rich storytelling that can be told in these movies. Most of the series struggle with this problem. If you take Hunger Games for an example, after the first movie, the second movie was acceptable, but the third part was separated into two movies. The Hunger Game Mockingjay Part 1 had no meaning to be separate movie. If they had only made one movie, it would have been so much better as a tight story and better watching experience. I had similar experience with Harry Potter franchise. The last two movies could have been only one long movie. Twilight movies too have no meat in their story. First movie was good for setting up the universe. But then in the Twilight saga The New Moon, after Edward leaves Bella, she forms a deep friendship with Jacob, who reveals his own supernatural secrets. That's it. It's the whole movie about breakup and a friend-zoned guy who turns out to be werewolf. So now Bella likes him too. Adding to the bad story comes the third installment, Twilight Saga Eclipse. Bella is forced to choose between Edwards and Jacob as a vengeful vampire army threatens their lives. This vampire army part feels like it's just there to add some meat to the story. Otherwise, it would have been a bore fest. The FNAF movie doesn't have the same problem the other had. It tells a good story. It works as a standalone movie. If they don't make any sequels, it's good too. It tells a good strong story about Mike and Abby. In the video, I haven't talked much about Abby yet, but I will soon. There is also a mysterious police officer named Vanessa who has some secrets. At the end of the movie, something surprising and twisted is revealed. The movie includes some supernatural things and it feels like it's just the start of a bigger story that we will continue. The only issue is that the bad guy in the movie isn't very strong because we don't understand why he does what he does. He had a more detailed story in the video games, but this might be looked at more in the future movies, so it's not really that big of a problem. Now all the good things out of the way, I think this movie could have been so much better. In the movie, Mike has to join FNAF as a security guard, which is already closed because he needs a job to be able to defend his custody of Abby. He is encountered with a mysterious cop named Vanessa, who tells him that she used to come to this place before it shut down. She has found memories of this place. She feels like she knows something about this place, but isn't telling. One night, Mike has to take Abby with him to his job because they are not able to find their babysitter. We get to know that animatronics at that place come alive at night. They possess the soul of children who went missing many years ago from this place. Abby strikes friendship with them. Vanessa knew about this. While all this is happening, we see Mike is seeing the missing children in his dream. He asks them to help him to find the killer of his brother, but they refuse to do that. As we know, Abby is friends with those children. So Mike is left with no choice but to ask Abby for her help. On the other hand, children grow fond of Abby and want her to be dead so Abby could be with them. Vanessa knew about these intentions of kid, but she didn't tell Mike about this. Later at climax, we find out that the soul of those children is controlled by their killer. It is revealed that killer is Vanessa's father, who tasked Vanessa to get Mike away from Abby. Vanessa at first is reluctant to help Mike and says that she wouldn't be much of a help. Then immediately she has a change of heart. She stabs her own father to help Abby and Mike. Now here, the reveal that Vanessa is daughter of a killer could have been so much better if they had done it right. We have seen better characters who had different motivation at first, but they changed their heart. They go on different path. The good example of this is Harvey Dent's character from Dark Knight. Harvey Dent begins as idealistic district attorney. His charisma, good looks and commitment to justice make him a poster child for the potential law and order. Dent's character is positioned as a strong contrast to the film's antagonist, the Joker. Joker represents chaos and anarchy. The execution of Harvey Dent's fall from grace is meticulous. The first step towards this is Rachel's death. The way they turned Dent from good guy to the bad guy, that execution is very well done. He finally succumbs to his base instincts of revenge and transition to the Two-Face is complete. The once principal DA becomes a vigilante. He wants to restore justice just by chance. On the other hand, we don't really see why Vanessa turns on her father. She could be doing this to help Mike and Abby, or there could be a backstory why she was helping her father for a long time. Now she's fed up. You don't have any reason to believe her change of heart. In the movie, Mike is given choice by kids' souls who are being controlled by the killer. The choice is that he could be with his brother forever in his dream. He just have to give up Abby. He feels guilty for his brother's abduction. There is a strong argument that's presented in the film that he just wants to change the past. That's why he dreams so much. He doesn't really want to save his brother. Now he has a choice to make: save Abby or be without guilt with his family happily in his dreams. He gives in to his instinct and says that he wants to be with his brother. He gives up Abby only to realize in the next moment that he wants to save her. This realization doesn't seem that convincing. Abby in the film is portrayed as a detached child. The only thing she does day and night is draw. She isn't interested in spending time with Mike. Their relationship isn't really developed. So his decision to be tempted to give her up seems understandable, as he had done that already when he agrees to give her custody to his aunt. But then when he wants to save Abby, it feels just off. We should have had a chance to get to know why he loves Abby, even though she is always lost in her world. After the shared trauma experience shown in the ending, we see both of them having a good moment with each other. And this should have been a little sooner for viewers to understand this change of heart. Stranger Things Season 4 Episode 4 executed similar kind of scenarios really well. Alex is in upside down and Vecna is trying to convince her to give up. He makes her feel guilty for her brother's death and tries to gain control over her mind so he could kill her. Now she needs a reason to come back. She remembers the time spent with her friends and escapes back to the real world. All this is shown in flashback. That was executed really well. If Five Nights with Freddy movie had shown Mike spending time with Abby in that dream sequence, it would have made for a really compelling story arc. All those things seem really off for me. If we ignore that, it's actually a pretty good movie. I think that's why it did really well.